Well, it certainly has been a thrill. It was an intense environment. Um, in Wisconsin, I'm not sure what it looked like on TV, but I'm pretty sure I have some hearing loss from that game. But it was just a wonderful college sporting environment, and we were pushed to our limits emotionally and found a way to win. And something that we talked about, we felt like we had one of the toughest roads to get to the Final Four of any of the brackets. But we thought, hey, if we can beat BYU in the second round, if we can beat Florida and then beat Wisconsin at Wisconsin, we felt like we'd be going into the Final Four with a lot of confidence, and I think we are, and we're thrilled to be here.
And let me ask you, go back to last year's Final Four. Winning this game, the way the squad did, do you have a different feeling going into this Final Four than you did a year ago?
I do, just because we were really relying on our left sides a lot last year, and we have two new lefts, and and I think also, I think we have a lot of girls in the team that have done it before and know a little bit more what to expect, and the girls that haven't are 23 years old. So I think I think we have a team that is ready.
Question?
Courtney, to that point, how would you describe what this experience has been like?
I mean, it's more than I could ever have imagined coming here. I knew there was a lot of, coming in, knowing that they made the Final Four last year, that was obviously a goal, and now it's to make it even further and win a national championship. But at the end of the day, just every game has been more than I could have imagined, and just being able to play, continue to play this weekend is just really exciting.
Question for all three players. I mean, every win's important on the way here, but to beat a defending national champ on their home floor, I mean, does that give you guys an extra boost in confidence heading into the Final Four, or is it you're so far along you don't really need extra confidence at this point?
I think Coach said earlier that we had a really hard path, so I feel like we're very battle tested, and the Final Four, it's not going to be an easy match. A national championship match isn't going to be an easy match, but we've already played in very hard matches, so battle tested and ready is what we're all feeling.
And I think environment-wise, we've played at home in a tough game with BYU, and then neutral with Florida, and then obviously an extremely tough away match against Wisconsin. So now coming back to a neutral site with the team that we are very familiar with poses challenges, and we're ready to take it.
Yeah, I mean, every game we've expected hard, and every game has been a challenge, but future games are going to be the same as the ones that we've already played, so I think we're ready, like they've said.
To follow up on that, I mean, is there some relief that comes knowing that you don't have to play in a chaotic atmosphere like that again? Final Four, it's a neutral site, so you'll have hopefully just as many fans as Louisville, maybe not, who knows, but you won't have anything as crazy as that probably in your next two matches. Does that give you guys some relief a little bit?
I don't know if I'd say relief. I think we love playing in big crowds and environments like that. I think that we were all very excited. I mean, it's one thing just cool to see the volleyball world, that whole town is just so into volleyball like that, and then the other part is just the noise, the environment, it just gets you hype extra. So
The other thing I'll say is, Chia played in that same gym 2 years ago. So we were in the Elite Eight so we feel like we have some girls that are, Lexus was on the court. So we've been there in that same environment. So but it is very, fans are a lot further back than they are in the field house in Wisconsin.
Rachel, let me ask you about playing Louisville now, a team that gave you your only conference loss. I mean, is there something special about the fact that, to get to the championship game, you have a chance to avenge that loss?
Definitely. I mean, in conference, we went 1-1 with Louisville. We're co-ACC champs, so I guess this game will just determine it all.
How about the other two athletes, I mean, do you feel the same way, that this is an opportunity for revenge, or are you focused more about, okay, beat this team, let's get to the championship?
I think that we're more on like just beat this team, let's go to the championship. Obviously in the back of our minds we're like, okay, this is like who's the real ACC champ here, but it is definitely beat the team. Let's make it to the national championship.
For people who haven't been following along, I mean, how would you describe Pitt's rivalry with Louisville in volleyball? What goes into it? Anyone?
I think we have a friendly rivalry. You know, and I think over the last, you know, especially since Danny's been there, but over the last 4 years, I think we've made each other better. And you know, there's been years that we had their number, and then years that they had ours, and so I just think that we've been looking at each other as like, hey, that's the team we got to be better than, and it turns out that standard's a pretty good one.
Well, no matter who wins the game, an ACC team is going to be the championship.
That's right.
So what does it say about where the conference is in the volleyball world? I mean, is this now the matchup that says, hey, we've arrived as a conference?
I think so, and the main thing is for recruiting. You know, you still get the well, I feel like I need to play in the whatever conference if I want to win a championship or I want to be on the national team. I think this shows that you can do it at Pitt, or you can do it at Louisville, or you can do it at a Big 12 team, or so. I think it's good for recruiting.
Just knowing that.
For all of you, when you're as familiar as you are with a team like Louisville, is there a temptation to say we need to do something different because they've seen us so much, or how do you as players and a coaches committee kind of resist that? We got to reinvent the wheel here a little bit.
There certainly is. I wouldn't say a temptation, but there's a challenge, like intellectually, to be like, hey, what can we do? Because you're always trying to make your opponent uncomfortable. So what can we do that we maybe haven't done, or can we look at the game in a slightly different way to make them uncomfortable? But that being said, the last time we played them, their best player from a year ago wasn't playing in the front row much. She was just the MVP of the regional. So they're back with her, and we're in a different lineup too. We've been having Ashley play DS and Cameron in the front row, and I think she set the last time we played them. So there is some slightly different preparation.
Coach, you had 8 service aces against Wisconsin on Saturday night. Tell me how important it is to have players, your serve specialists in Kat, Flood, and Dylan, but you also have Rachel and Courtney who are able to get service aces pretty well as well. What are you looking from when you're serving and you're asking your players to get those points?
This team has been the best serving team we've had ever in terms of command of serve, being able to hit spots, and minimizing service errors. But I do say that with some trepidation because last year I think we had 12 service errors against Nebraska. I think there is a different energy, but assuming we serve to our norm, it's a big part of the game to be able to consistently put pressure on the other team with every server, and then also to minimize terminal serves.
Would you almost rather prefer playing a familiar opponent in a big game like this, being that you've seen them before, their tendencies a little bit, or would you rather play someone who you haven't seen because maybe they don't have the intel on you?
Well, I don't know how to answer that other than when we lost to San Diego at the first game of the year, I thought to myself, man, I would love to have another chance at them. And then I had those same thoughts, after getting stomped on at Louisville. I'm like, I hope we get another chance at them. So, but at the same time, we would love to win a national championship, and whatever route that gets us there is the main thing.
Rachel, I don't know if there is a stat that you do have an impact on the bench. What has this year been like for you, and describe the impact you think you have on your team? And Dan, after that, if you could talk about it.
I mean, it's a privilege playing with the girls, on the court, and personally, I just enjoy having an impact on in every way I can. And I think that, like, obviously our team helps with that. Our team is centered around being like an all-around player, and I think each one of us is an all-around player. So I think that is just how coaches taught us to play. Coach us to play.
Rachel, from this.
Do you want me to?
Yeah.
Well, I'll say this: she's had some knee issues this year, and we've had to limit some of her jumps early. So she wasn't always in an attacking role for us, and she's healthy now, and so we're glad to have that as an option. She's obviously has a strong arm and sees the block well. But I'll say this: we have to submit videos, like All-American videos, and you try. So what they ask you to do is to find 2 full sets, where two of their best sets. So you're looking, which is sometimes hard to do, if to find a set that doesn't have like a really bad play or an error. And we found some sets of Rachel, and I just to your point, it was like there was a couple sets we found that was like, man, she's touching every single ball. There was a dig, there was a set, there was a hit. Then you just go through the amount of like contacts on ball in one set. You're, oh wow, she's really she's involved.
Coach, how have you seen Emmy progress over this tournament? She played a big role for you in the win over Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
You described her as your best passer on the team, I believe. How have you seen her progression in starting in that libero position?
She's she's just a very elite passer. We've known that. I'm sure she would have liked to dig a few more balls against Wisconsin. That wasn't her best ever defensive day, but even though she hasn't been our starting bro the whole year, we definitely feel like she's one of the best bros in the country. And even though she doesn't have the experience like it, she doesn't play like it. So we feel really good about her on the court.
Rachel, having Courtney in the lineup and hitting such a high percentage from the outside as she does, and I think Fish, when we talked earlier in the year, talked about how high her percentage is from the pins. How does that open things up for you as a setter a little bit and give you some more options for what you look for out there?
I mean, this team, it's quite easy to be a setter because every single option is a good option. Like having Courtney, Chia, Serena, and then our outsides, like I feel comfortable setting every single one of them, so I'm never stuck in a rotation. Like, and Courtney's hitting from a high percentage from anywhere, so I know like if we're in a bit of a if we're stuck, I can always count on her. But not only her, I mean I can count on any hitter on our team to get us out.
The growth of the program in the time that you've been here, expectations are high, and you come off the Final Four, now you're back in the Final Four. Allows this team to continue to ride through the adversity and have success in the biggest moments.
I feel like we always talk about our culture. Our culture means a lot to us, and we're like every year we're like working on it, how to improve it, what we need to get rid of, like what we need to add to just like keep improving it. Like we all buy into culture here, and I think that is what has drove us through all these hard matches, hard days, good days, bad days. Like our culture is amazing.
Courtney, nothing against where you were, but when you got here, like what hit you like what's different?
I think just that it's the culture is just ever changing, it's ever growing, and it's a constant thing that we're trying to make better. And they've made comments that this year, or like if there is a hiccup, I'm like, this isn't a hiccup to me. I'm like, this is amazing. Like this hiccup is great, and like it doesn't seem like such a big thing to me, but to everyone else, it's like, no, like it's got to change. We got to make it better. We got to keep progressing. But that aside, volleyball, day in and day out, just the coaches constantly wanting us to be better. And coming in as a fifth year, I think I've gotten so much better in such a short period of time. I've been here for 6 months, and I think my game is elevated, consistent, or just in a crazy way. I'm a completely different player than I was a year ago, and it's crazy to see that. Just a year ago, where I was on the couch watching the beat Purdue, So to be in this position is kind of mind-blowing to me.
What's it been like for everyone here to just see the support the city and the school is given? I know Coach Capel gave you guys a shout out in his post-game press conference. Other university teams are making posts about it on social media, and just the reaction to your success this season. What's it been like to see that kind of support?
I mean, I can say, I think it's crazy just how Pittsburgh is such a sports city. There's so many different outlets that you can go to watch sports, but people are focused on volleyball. That's new to me, where it was strictly the university, so of course they were focused on the university sports, but there's so many different avenues where people can watch sports, and the fact that they choose volleyball is really cool.
Courtney, you played in Big Ten environments before. Just describe to me that environment in Wisconsin, and what was it like to finally be on the winning end against such a, it's a tough opponent and a tough gym?
Yeah, I mean, I said this in the pre-game press conference that postseason and regular season is completely different. That was an environment that I've never been a part of at Wisconsin specifically. So, I mean, being on the winning end is everything I hoped it to be, and even with just winning there would be a big thing, but with the stakes being so high, it's even sweeter.
Anything else? Awesome.